Da 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 Hey, we sound like we're throwing up. Get it. Get it. That was beautiful. Right there.
I think we harmonized well there.
Until he started laughing.
Okay, now we got to do Tara's theme, though.
You're wrong.
It was better because you
Oh, boy. Hello and welcome to a very, very special episode of The Frozen North. I am super excited for this one. Mark, are you excited?
I'm excited, but not as excited as you are.
That's right. Well, it was your number one too.
Hey, man.
That's a good point, Mark. Brian, what do you think?
I'm pretty normally excited. Like, normal.
Okay,
Normal.
now I'm taking offense.
All right,
Why?
see?
You should not be normally excited.
Why?
You should be abnormally excited.
I'm like usual.
No.
I'm ready to
wow.
roll.
No, but you can't be like usual
Why?
for this episode.
What is happening right now?
What? I don't know.
I don't even know.
Mark is mad.
Either way, I'm stoked because we are talking about my favorite game of all time. And Mark's number one too, which is why
Yeah, that's right.
he should be. It was your number one.
Hey, it is my number one.
Oh, I see what you did there. All right, super. All right, so episode 37, Final Fantasy VI. Here we go.
Oh man,
We're doing this. That's right.
We're gonna dive down the rabbit hole.
Normally when we do a review, we just gonna do pros, cons, and that's it.
And now we're just gonna do pros today.
But
Oh no, I got cons.
no, because that'd be super quick. Be like, pros, Final Fantasy VI.
That's right.
And that's it. That'd be
Con.
the whole show.
But to Brian, I'm deleting the cons line on my notes. Therefore, you can't.
Because it's our show, we're going to totally do a top 5 based on Final Fantasy VI because we can. Other than that,
Top 5 items in Final Fantasy VI.
5 items.
I really like the Revivifier
Oh boy!
because I could not be a zombie anymore, which they spelled zombie so bad.
All right, well let's get into it. We don't have any emails this week, but I did want to really quick introduce. Well, not really introduce, but we'll introduce him officially on another episode.
That's right.
Somewhere down the line. But you've heard us mention his name before on the show a couple of times because he's written us a handful of emails and really nice guy. We're glad to welcome Isaac to our team. He's going to be our first official reviewer, and he sent us a few reviews that he had done, and he really well written and got some great ideas, and we're excited to have him aboard. So if you go over to the to our website at fngaming.net, you will see a bio for him. It's up there. So we're really excited to have him over. Go read up on him and say hi to him on the forums.
We should give him a round of applause right now. Hey, there's more people in this room than the three of us. Where is his round of applause?
Audience.
I'm offended that no one else is clapping right now.
Mark, I just want to point out as Poindexter that while there are more people in this room, they may all not have appendages.
But I can see their appendages.
Okay, Poindexter.
Well, this conversation just got really awkward.
Oh, that was our friend Poindexter again.
I think you should stop coming on the show.
I can't help it. He just takes over the mic.
Oh boy! All right, so moving on. But yes, definitely welcome Isaac. We're excited to have you, buddy, and look forward to getting some solid reviews out.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'd like to remind everybody that instead of announcing the email and websites and all that stuff, I'm gonna basically just shout out, shameless plug, say one of their names, and either Mark or Brian is gonna have to rattle them off in about 15 seconds.
It's a cruel gambit that he's playing.
If they can't, they have to say a little poem that I wrote. So, it's good stuff. Mark proved last time that he was really close.
And I proved last time
Man.
that I love the song.
His song's not as hurtful as mine.
It's not.
You should make it say Mass Effect sucks.
I don't think Mass Effect sucks, though.
But you do think that there's too many characters in Suikoden?
Boom! Boom.
Touche, you got me on that one. I don't. But I just thought that would... you know,
Mark's having an aneurysm.
I just figured that would give the exact reaction that you gave it.
Yeah.
So that's why
It was painful.
Oh man, so we'll see. I haven't decided which one of you guys is going to get it this episode, but we will see. Maybe both.
Brian.
Could be at any time.
Wait, David.
David. David is the target. Also want to remind everybody that we are looking to get 100 Twitter followers, and if we do, we will be doing another contest.
That's right, and it's one where I will suffer, so that's extra
Most
motivation
likely.
for you.
Most likely, Mark will suffer. Yep, absolutely.
If you want to see me suffer, follow us on Twitter. I'm gonna
Selling point right there.
I want to change our tagline to that for about a week, I think, on Twitter.
Come watch me suffer. All right, so why don't we go ahead and get into the meat and potatoes of the episode? Man, I just, God, this game, amazing.
It really is.
It really is.
It really is, right, Brian?
It's pretty good.
Pretty good.
I'm
This
serious.
guy.
It.
Well, I'm serious.
I had the same feeling that I had when I played Chrono Trigger. Like, man, this is a really well done little RPG here.
Oh,
I'm not surprised.
little.
Well, compared to games nowadays,
Okay, that's
it
fair.
is. When it came out, though, it was a freaking monster.
Yeah.
That's right.
So this game hit, and it was just, I mean, it blew everybody who played it away. It was absolutely spectacular when it came out. I mean, it still is in a lot of people's eyes, people who played it back then, even some people who, you know, can be objective and actually go back and play those older games. They still find, as, you know, Brian says, he said he liked it. And he, you know, you tend to be into a lot of the newer stuff.
I prefer newer games. I'm a graphics whore. So, but I mean, that said, if a 2D game or an old school game can captivate me like Final Fantasy VI or other games have, then you know I know it was definitely. And I try to look at it like that. Like if I'm enjoying the game that's that old while I'm playing it, and I generally don't prefer that kind of game, I'm like, wow, this must have been pretty a big deal back then.
Definitely.
You know, so.
Yep. All right, so we'll get right into it. Final Fantasy VI, developed and published by Square Enix, Squaresoft at the time. I think 93 is when it came out. And Super Nintendo. I mean, it hit and it made waves. Mark, why don't you tell us a little bit about the story?
Sure. The story is essentially that there were, way back in time, there was magic in the world, and there were these espers that would go around. They had magic. They were in the world. And humans wanted to take the magic from them, essentially. So there was this big war where the humans were fighting the espers. I could go further back with some plot you find out later, but I'll just start with that. The War of the Magi basically destroys the planet in the process, destroys everything. The espers leave and go somewhere else, and the humans have to rebuild without magic. Takes, I think, is it 1,000 years?
It says the war set mankind back 1,000 years. Yeah.
Sets them back 1,000 years, and they're finally getting back on their feet with steam, power, coal, oil, machinery, stuff like that, but not, as far as they know, not any magic. So that's basically where it starts. And there's this, is it called anything other than just the Empire? I mean, I guess you could call it the Gestalian Empire.
Yeah, I mean, they essentially just call it the Empire, though.
So the very start of the game is you're playing as this character, Terra, who has apparently latent magic abilities. She's going up to this steampunk mining city up in the north to go investigate an esper, and that's where the game starts.
An esper frozen in ice.
That's
they
right.
Found it intact, and they're all like, "This is crazy! I can't believe it!" And of course, the Empire's like, "Well, we want it."
Yep.
So they invade the town. They start killing people, and you know, to get through there, they're taking out guards left and right. They go through the mine, and they get up there, and something happens to where the frozen esper interacts with Terra, and basically knocks off her slave crown that she had, and she wakes up in just some random guy's bed, and she's like, you know, what the heck is going on? I don't remember anything. And it just goes from there. You're learning about her, you're learning about the people she meets along the way, And a lot of people think she is the main character of the story just because it starts out with her and because she does play a huge part. I would disagree immensely that she is the main character.
It's more of an ensemble.
I don't think there is one.
It's an ensemble cast. That's true.
Yeah, I don't think there is a main character at all. That's a big debate that's been going on since the game came out. But that's the basic gist. And so you eventually meet up with a king of a city, a monk who is his brother. You join up with a resistance movement going against the Empire, and basically you're just trying to take these people down who are essentially trying to revive magic by finding all these espers that people thought were gone, who may or may not be.
Yep.
And that's kind of just where it goes, and you're just trying to stay a step ahead of them and do what you can to make the world peaceful again. All right, why don't we do what we do and just go into pros. Brian, it was your first time playing this game.
Mm-hmm.
What do you let's start with you on pros.
Oh yeah, okay. So my first playthrough of this game.
This is literally the first time you've ever touched the game?
Correct. Never
Cool.
never played it. Like I'd seen a familial person play it before.
Oh, really?
He watched his brother play.
Yeah. A little bit of it, but this is my first time actually diving into it. I guess the pros, I'll just jump right in. Obviously, the ensemble cast, so there's a lot of different stories coming together. Really enjoyed that. I love summons. That's one thing I like. One thing that draws me to Final Fantasies the most are summoning big creatures and seeing like a big scene. I mean, in this game it was basic, but still,
Definitely.
every time I got a new Esper, I'd try it out and just see what it looked like and kind of get some nostalgia going on for seeing it, which is funny because it's reverse nostalgia because these summons are like they made their debut in Final Fantasy VI, but I saw them in other Final Fantasies I played before that, so I'm like, oh hey, that's it's Carbuncle or what have you. Anyway, I enjoyed I play without a guide, so I enjoyed the way that the game kind of pointed you in the right direction, but kind of was just kind of like, hey, we heard this happen in this town. Then you had to go explore to find it. Now basically the world map was a basic. There's 4 dots. Okay, pretty much figure out which one it is. But I really like that. I really like when an RPG is good enough to let you know where you need to go without having a bullet point that says here, here, here. But at the same time, you still have that sense of like, I'm just going to go here and see what happens. You know what I mean? I really enjoyed the exploration aspect of it. In the level up system, I like I played Final Fantasy 2, so I like actually just leveling up and getting better stats rather than hitting my guys over and over again. So those are my main. The music. Whew. Music's probably my main one. The music was fantastic.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
In the story overall, I'll preface this, I have not seen the ending yet, because I'm at Kefka's Tower, but I've gotten enough of the story to know that I like the backstory of it. I like the War of the Magi, and as Mark said, there is a little bit further back that you have to deal with, but we'll get into that as we talk. But those are some of my main pros.
Just kind of a cool little side note. When I went to the anime convention that I go out to here in Kansas City every year, Nobuo Uematsu was there, not last year, but the year before. And he was doing a Q&A, and somebody had asked him, which of the Final Fantasies, which one did you like the best working on? And without even thinking about it, he said 6, easily.
It reflects it.
So, yeah, and it really is just, it's so emotional. And just, you hear, especially like if you go online, you go to YouTube or something, you listen to the orchestrated versions of some of these songs. It's just gorgeous.
Yeah. I was just going to say that compositionally, these are the best songs that he's written, I would say. Yeah. Hearing them with real live instruments really proves
hearing
that
them MIDI,
point.
If they're already good in MIDI form,
yeah, exactly.
Then oh my goodness,
if you can make you feel something with the Super Nintendo sound card with that,
MIDI, pretty much.
Yeah,
definitely. Pros for me, it's my favorite game of all time. I've made no secret of that. It is. I can play it, over and over and over again, and I'll never get tired of it. I love the fact that, like I said, I don't feel there's any main character. Literally, and Brian and I were talking about this before, every single character has such a great story that you could make a game in itself out of their backstories, which is awesome to me.
They were all very unique, too. There wasn't really any ones that rubbed up against each other that were like, well, that's kind of samesies, but
absolutely,
all of them have very unique backstories.
I really like how the game obviously follows one particular story from, the beginning to end, but going from point A to point B to point C to point D, there were a lot of times when you could choose how you got there. You could choose who you brought, and depending on who you brought, you would see different little side stories on the character backgrounds. Like when you bring Locke to Kolingen for the first time.
I saw Rachel.
Or when you bring Edgar and Sabin to Figaro Castle. I mean, there's like, it just, you just see these little scenes that you wouldn't normally see if you hadn't brought this character along or if you did something different. I mean, that was unheard of for a Super Nintendo game. It was really, really awesome to see that, especially back then when it first came out. So, I mean,
Definitely.
everything that Brian just said, obviously, it really hits home for me. So, and
Yeah.
I will be the first to tell you that a lot of what I like about this game is nostalgia because I grew up with it.
You're allowed that.
So, and I wholeheartedly admit that. I know that it has flaws. I know it has issues. Honestly, if you were to ask me what I thought the best Final Fantasy game was, this would not be number one.
Right, but
this is my favorite.
But this is your favorite, right? And like I am in agreement. Mass Effect is in no way a perfect series. In fact, people hate the ending, and I can see why they hate it. But for me, when it's your favorite game, you overlook that because it's your favorite game, just kind of like your favorite movie. So I mean, yeah, it's not a perfect game, but if it's your favorite game, it's your favorite game, and no one can argue differently because it's opinion based.
Absolutely,
Definitely.
Anything else add on pros?
Well, it's almost hard for me to talk about pros because I don't know if I'm being objective. It's hard for me to tell if I'm being objective about it.
Just
like
essentially, you're just saying what you like about it.
What do you
though.
like
yeah,
about
sure. Like I feel like I'm going to ask Brian if he agrees because he's a fresh set of eyes.
Yeah.
But I feel like the sprites, the art, everything in that game, for its limitations, was incredible. Some of the best pixel art. On the Super Nintendo
for sure. If that based on that being a Super Nintendo game, like some of the bosses that you fought against were like fantastic. You're just like,
Yeah.
whoa.
Even the main characters, though, like
Absolutely.
I could read into their emotions, and they're just these little sprites.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And there was no voice acting, anything like that. It was just all text based. But you could, I mean, when Doma gets attacked, when the river gets poisoned and everybody in the castle is dying left and right, and Cyan is walking through and he's seeing his king get killed, and he sees his wife and his son just die right there.
Yep.
I mean, it's like, wow. When do you see? How often did you see mass murder in a cutesy looking game like that? Back then it was crazy.
Yeah.
And even, I mean, the very beginning of the game is another good example when you see Terra and the two soldiers in their Magitech armor walking towards Narshi.
The Narsh is what I always said.
Narsh. I mean, it kind
The
of
opening sequence.
It kind of looks a little bit tacky because it's doing that weird, like wrapping a 2D texture on a 3D surface.
Yeah.
But even so, it still looks incredible, and it's this early attempt at doing really cinematic cutscenes.
Yeah.
That Square is now completely famous for.
And it worked.
Yep.
It really did. And the music that's playing while it's going on. I mean, it's just man.
It's good.
So good.
They actually have pretty long loops too. They're not like little short MIDI loops.
Absolutely.
The themes are pretty full featured.
They're robust.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't at least know some of the music from Final Fantasy VI, you really haven't experienced that all that RPGs have to offer. Even if you haven't played the game, I guarantee you've heard some of the music somewhere at some point because it's iconic. It really is.
Yep.
So, I mean, me personally, it's hard for me to find a lot of faults with this game, but I will admit that there are. I guess I'll start because I'll probably have the fewest, to be honest. As far as cons go, see what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll let you. How about you think about your cons while I give one more pro?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Final Fantasy VI, I see a lot of that DNA in Final Fantasy IX. And what I mean by that is specifically I'm going to talk about the characters. If you look at Final Fantasy VII, you look at Final Fantasy VIII, it really I feel like the story writers are trying to say, how can I make this character cool? And there's a lot of characters going and doing flashy things, trying to look cool, But with Final Fantasy VI, I don't think the characters are cool. They feel like family. They're people that have realistic backgrounds. They're not showboating. They're just doing what they need to do so they can feel right about themselves.
That's actually very true.
That's accurate.
I wholeheartedly agree. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I one could debate that, 8, they all feel like a family as well.
Yeah, but not.
especially with that ending.
But like, look at the way they introduced the characters in 8.
But no, I completely understand. I know what you're coming from. I definitely got more attached to the ones in 6. I'm still attached to them, obviously. I absolutely. I agree 100%. I did think of a con, and it's something stupid, but it's one that I've heard a lot of people gripe about. And that's how the difficulty can be altered so easily because of bugs in the game.
Sure.
The Vanish Doom trick that I know about. And this kind of stuff doesn't bother me, but there are a lot of situations where if you hear about something in a game that's really easy to do and makes it easier to go through, a lot of people are just going to do it just because now they know how to do it, and they know that they're not going to actually play it, how it's intended and in the spirit of the game. That's fine, but don't let a bug ruin what could be an otherwise wonderful experience. That's what that's kind of
I agree
how I've always looked at it.
I mean, con section. So I'll throw out a few. Did you mention? So the evade percentage equation doesn't do anything in Final Fantasy VI.
Yeah.
And your attack power after a certain point, increasing it doesn't do anything for you.
Mm-hmm.
So those are, I guess a certain type of person could be bothered by that. But for me, here's an analogy. If I go and I see a really good action movie with an incredible plot that makes you think, and I notice that a character shot more bullets out of his gun than the clip can hold, I'm not going to have the movie
that ruins it.
Nope, I'm leaving the movie. I can't take that. That's inaccurate.
Exactly. Yeah, no, that's a great
That technicality isn't going to
Doesn't matter.
ruin the movie.
No, doesn't matter at all.
It might ruin the movie if there's nothing else to like.
Yeah, but if there's nothing else to like, then that's probably going to be the least of your worries.
Exactly.
So, but you've got such a fantastic story with such fantastic characters out there that, worrying about numbers and the mechanics and stuff like that really, to me at least, that's just not even worth it. So, but to some people it is a problem. So,
yeah.
Brian,
I've got cons.
Yeah, definitely. Go ahead, throw them out there.
And I'll be honest with you, a lot of these cons are JRPG cons. So it's not going to be necessarily focused on Final Fantasy VI.
This is every time we do a JRPG, this is how it turns.
But I want to let people know, take the story and the characters out of it, because honestly, there were not any. I didn't really have any complaints with that. My cons are first of all, we got to talk about random encounters real quick. I hate them.
Love them.
I can't figure out if random encounters are a way for here's my 2 theories of random encounters. My first theory is I think maybe random encounters were started because the hardware was so primitive that you had to find a way to get enemies in a game without overcrowding.
I definitely think that's the case.
I think that's probably... But the other one is, if you are a fan of tabletop games in the past, or Dungeons and Dragons, your Dungeon Master would also have random encounters as well, so I can't tell if it's maybe an homage to that or if it's just
I don't think so.
I think it's the latter, of where you have to save some memory space,
because even in D&D you're going to
have. I will forgive random I will forgive random encounters for Final Fantasy VI because it did come out in an era where that was probably necessary for the hardware. If a game nowadays comes out with the hardware we have has random encounters, it frustrates me to know it. I'm like, we have the technology to do it where we don't have to just pop into a battle. I don't even see the enemy. Now I'm facing these guys. I don't even know that they're there. One of the reasons why I like Final Fantasy 13 is because there were no random encounters. You could go, and 12 was the same way. Boom.
I understand why they do it now too, because every time a JRPG strays from that formula, you hear people complaining about, I want my random battles.
And for me, I hate random battles. It's random, and I don't like that.
But I'm with you 100%. I wish more JRPGs would use the Chrono Trigger, Chrono Cross system.
Absolutely. Where you see the enemy.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to go fight him. Boom. That's really not... I just don't like random encounters, so that knocks it. Difficulty spikes. Another JRPG.
I completely understand on this.
Here's how I feel. Yeah. I just got done playing Xenogears, which did difficulty spikes very well. I never had to grind.
Yep.
To pass. Most JRPGs do what I like to call basically steps, where it's steady and then boom, you're like, oh god, I gotta grind for an hour. You know what I mean? I hate that. Why? Grinding has nothing to do with the story. Why do we need it? Why do we need a diversion to go and just grind? Why can't we have a playtester before the game comes out, play through without doing any grinding and make sure it's perfectly balanced for that. So if people do want to grind, you can throw in a little bit of stat correction and make it at least somewhat challenging. I don't know. I mean,
people like for some reason some people like to grind. Right. They like the random battles.
I'm telling you right now.
It also kind of pads the game.
It does, but I hate difficulty spikes.
I mean, for some people, the battles are like a big part of the game. That's what they like.
Right.
But for you and me, it's like a commercial during your favorite show.
No, I'm not talking about the random battles. I'm talking about just the bosses. Like, why does a boss have to be? For example, there was a boss that I fought and I kept dying to, and I'm like, what? I have not had a single problem up to this point. Now all of a sudden I'm having a big problem, and I don't play with a guide, so I'm doing a lot of wandering and a lot of fighting. I'm just like, this shouldn't be like this. It should be
start playing with a guide.
Yeah, it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be where I have to like take an hour or two out of my time because you know why I think of grinding. But why don't I just not play the game? I'm not playing the game.
I agree.
I'm watching TV.
I have that impulse.
I'm watching TV, just fighting battles just to get stronger so I can progress. Yep. Just don't like it. That said, those are really my only two cons. Obviously, I'm not at the end yet, but I can guarantee I can throw in the con of crazy boss transformage into some extra dimensional beast.
Oh yes, you will be able to.
But the plot does justify it.
Absolutely, yeah.
True. But another con that it seems too grandiose for me. But honestly, those are my cons for the game. Fantastic game through and through. Just a few JRPG cons that I never like with JRPGs, but other than that, I can't really find any faults from Final Fantasy VI specifically to throw out there. But just know you're going into another JRPG when you play it, but it's just a more well done version.
And I think you also need to like we mentioned before, you have to go in knowing that this game came out in 1993.
Correct.
If you're coming in that's exactly what you did. You said before, I tend to like newer games, but you went in knowing like, okay, I'm obviously not going to get best graphics in the world, but everything that was in there did hold up pretty well.
And like I said, if it captivates me and I'm intrigued by it and I'm playing it and I'm enjoying it, and I normally don't like older games, and I know this game was a big deal back then, you know what I mean? Because there are some older games that I try to play that are mediocre. I just, throw it away. Don't even want it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I have one more con.
Yeah.
Sprint shoes.
Why is that a con?
Because I want to run. I don't want to have to wait until I get the item that I have to.
Have you not played any of the remakes?
Yeah,
No.
you can
I've
run.
played the
Remakes, you
original.
hold down a button, you don't need sprint shoes.
Yeah.
Well, then,
Yep.
if you buy the original, that's a con. But if you buy any of the other versions, you're good to go.
Yeah.
I could run the whole time.
Can you imagine, though?
But you
Brian?
can run doubly fast if you have sprint shoes
Yeah,
now.
it's crazy.
Nice.
It's ridiculous.
You
You're
can
like,
sprint with sprint shoes. Yeah. Understandable, though. It was a little slow-paced.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, I mean, this is normally the part where we talk about whether we recommend the game or not. I mean, you all know my answer. Yes, yes, yes. Anytime I talk to people, because, I mean, a lot of times I'll get a message on Twitter or Facebook or, an email or something like that, and they'll be like, hey, I'm trying to play, I want to play a new game. What do you recommend? If I find out they haven't played this game, this is the first one that I say every time. And I think Mark does the same thing, unless it's a, Suikoden game.
Right.
But, I mean, if somebody says, which Final Fantasy should I play next? They list them out, and this is one of them.
Definitely.
No question, this is what we say. Again, I can't stress enough, you can't go into this game thinking you're going to be seeing some brand new concepts,
it's an older game.
Fantastic graphics and stuff. You have to know that it came out in 93. When it came out, it did. It, made waves, and it did brand new things that just reached new heights, and it was awesome. But don't expect anything new out of it now. So, other than that, play it and enjoy it. Mark?
Oh, yeah. I 100% recommend this game. I mean, all the different versions you can get for real cheap, for incredible amount of gaming value. If you feel like some Final Fantasy games are a little bit too long-winded, get a little bit too self-important with their crazy explanations of insane concepts.
Too much exposition.
Too much exposition, exactly. This game keeps it light. It's got a great pace. It gives you just enough of what you need to know.
Absolutely.
To know why you're motivated. And it's really an operatic game, I would say. Just in general, the plot is really operatic.
Even the opera house scene.
Yeah, sure. The opera house scene is doubly so. So, if you're looking for a Final Fantasy game that's not going to frustrate you, it might just be this one.
Oh, there is one other thing. Shameless plug, Mark.
Follow us on Twitter at FN Podcast. Email us at thefrozennorthpodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook at... Stop counting! It's making me nervous! Facebook.com/FrozenNorth. Our website is fnpodcast.net. And our blog spot is thefrozennorthpodcast@blogspot.com.
You went past the 15 seconds.
That's because you started showing me your fingers, the numbers.
What do you think, Brian? He did get them all right.
I'll give him a pass.
Let him slide?
Yeah.
All right, you won't have to read it this time.
Oh.
Yep. All right.
Oh,
Good job.
Good work, Mark.
thank you.
I'm impressed. Brian, what do you think? Do you recommend the game?
Yes, this game would be on if somebody's like me and like, hey, Brian, I really like playing newer games, or I'm not really into like sprite-based RPGs, but I do want to try them out. This would be on a short list of RPGs that here are the ones you want to start with. So
You said you thought this was one of the best 2D RPGs out there.
Yeah, like I said, I haven't beat it yet, so it could even go higher. But it's on par with Chrono Trigger. I really enjoyed both of those games very much. So it's definitely the best 2D RPG that I have played thus far.
Cool. Good to hear.
Yep.
Well, because it's our show and we like doing what we want to do, we're going to do a top 5 list based on Final Fantasy VI. So, well, at least Mark and I. Brian doesn't seem to care too much, though.
What?
He's normal excited, like
Yeah,
you said
right.
at the beginning of the episode.
I'm
Okay,
excited.
Mark, let me rephrase. I am 1 to 2% above normal excited.
On a scale of 1 to Gweedle, how excited are you?
Gweedle.
That sounds a lot better than 2% more
Yeah.
Yeah,
excited.
no joke.
I wonder what 100% more is.
So, because the game is so focused on not only the plot itself, but these individual characters, there's 14 main characters, and then even the side characters that you don't get in your party are, so memorable. We are going to do a top 5 Final Fantasy VI characters. Why? Because we can.
Yeah.
That's
That's
right.
why.
That's right.
So, who wants to start?
Edgar.
All right, Mark
I'm
is starting.
My number 5 is Edgar.
Don't you mean, what was his pseudo name?
You tell me.
Yeah, you just
Was
played
it David?
No, it was not David. Gerard.
Gerard.
Yeah.
Good old,
Gerard.
Gerard.
Good old Gerard.
That's right.
Hey, man. That's a pretty good name.
It's an anagram.
That's a pretty good anagram. What's wrong with that?
Oh, boy.
Anyway, go ahead.
So what do you like about Edgar?
Edgar is the third character you get in the game. You've got Terra, you've got Locke, and he's trying to take you somewhere safe. So he goes down to Figaro Castle, and you get to meet the king. Classic, right?
Classic.
Turns out there's a lot more to it. So he's got this backstory with the Empire who's come in and poisoned his father, kind of screwed him and his brother over. He's got this tragic past where his brother didn't want to take over the country with him, so he runs off. They're kind of estranged.
There's a little more to it than that. I'll explain a little bit more when it gets to me.
Sure. But, I mean, I love the character innately.
He's got a good personality.
And his plot, he does have a good personality. He goes around, he hits on women whenever he can. In fact, he gets some really important details out of a woman halfway through the game because
He gives him the old winky eye.
That's right.
Yep.
So, I mean, he was a great character.
Heck yeah. Edgar, number 5 for Mark. Brian, what's your number 5?
My number 5 is the
Same as mine.
The white clad Magitech warrior Celeste.
Yep. We both have her as a number 5.
I liked her story. She was kind of where Kefka was the first one in the line of Magitech infused soldiers. She was probably further on down and had some
After they perfected the process.
Yeah, she had some pretty substantial demons that she was dealing with. She had a loyalty issue at one point. Just when you meet her, she's getting ram-punched, as I call it, because the sprite-based graphics, the guy's like backing up and ramming them. Yeah. So she's getting ram-punched by the guard, and you're like, man, they're just really going to town on her. And you walk into the cell, and you're like, what the heck's going on? And she's like, I disobeyed my command, and it's kind of got that.
Well, what happened was she, you remember when Doma was poisoned? by Kefka.
She did not like that.
She did not like that idea. She spoke out against it. And it doesn't outright say it, but it is implied that that's what the issue was, because she says Kefka is going to be poisoning all the people of Doma,
he's
and
mad
you guys are okay with this? And the guards are like, Rampunched.
And I kind of look at her as like, her and Kefka are like brother sister. If you think about it, not biologically, but they're from the same process. So they kind of have this like, she knows, she kind of understands him a little bit, but at the same time, I mean, just like he's going crazy. I don't know what to do. So this guy's ram-punching her, and that's a cool way to. It's a cool way to meet her.
Ram-punching.
But you've seen the scene though.
I 100% know what you're talking about.
It was good, but that was a really cool scene, and I liked her. She was in my party like the whole time. I liked her abilities, and I liked Celeste a lot.
She is in two of probably the most iconic scenes, especially coming from that time period. One of which you actually did get to see, and it is optional.
I loved the like.
Well, first the opera.
Yeah,
there was the opera, which, I mean, you've heard me gush about the Opera House 1,000 times, and it's, oh my gosh, it's just fantastic, even for Super Nintendo
when she
game.
throws the flowers off the ledge.
Mm-hmm. And then later on, which is, I mean, the game's been out since '93.
We're gonna spoil some stuff.
We're gonna spoil some stuff. Sorry, but in the World of Ruin, when she is, you. Halfway through the game, the world basically, gets burnt to hell.
She's the one you start as.
She's the one you start by herself on an island alone with Sid.
Yep.
And Sid is sick in bed, and she has the ability to bring him back.
And Sid is like her father figure. He's the scientist
Correct.
behind the Magitech infusion. So
Yep.
she's got a close kindred to him as well. So I liked that. I liked that he wasn't really her father, but kind of was.
He took her in.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You have the ability to save him if you're supposed to go out and catch fish and stuff, and if you catch the right fish, bring it back to him, you save his life. If you don't, he dies. If he does die, Celeste will actually go up on top of a cliff overlooking the ocean and like look off for a little minute, and then she will try to commit suicide.
She does the same.
She throws herself off.
She does the scene from the Opera House, which is really
with
cool.
the flowers. Yeah. And I mean, I still like 93. That was a pretty big thing to hit on. A lot of games didn't talk about suicide.
But you felt her emotions, because now she's literally alone on this island.
Yep.
He's gone.
She's like, the world is gone, and I'm all by myself. I don't want to live anymore.
Yep.
And it really, really is just a powerful, powerful scene.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I agree. She's my number 5 as well. Celeste. Mark, number 4.
My number 4 is General Leo.
Oh, yeah. He's higher on my list.
General Leo. Whew! This guy
it was
good.
hard for me not to put him on mine.
It's not so much specifically his like background that makes me like this character. He's the enemy that you don't want to hate.
Yep.
Yeah. He's the reluctant enemy.
That's one of my favorite tropes, is the reluctant enemy.
Mm-hmm.
It's this guy that you have to fight. He's on the other side, but you can see that he's a good guy.
You can see
even
he
though
struggles.
you're fighting him. And that, man, when they hit you in the feels with those moments where you have to fight the good guy.
Mm-hmm.
I agree, and I'll talk more when he's higher on my list.
Yeah.
But I agree with Mark. It's kind of like, you don't see that often in games. It's sophistication when you can make the enemy also have a soul. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Especially when you see how evil the guys at the head of the enemy are.
Well, and that typically, obviously, we're from America, and we fought Germany when Hitler was at power, but not all Germans were evil. You know what I mean? And a lot of times they're portrayed that way. And in this game, they had the wherewithal to think that when two factions fight, there's not a good and an evil. There's both on both sides.
Definitely.
So I like that.
And I think one of my favorite scenes with him is when you first see him, when Sabin is going and sneaking into the camp.
Yeah.
And General Leo's talking to the soldier who they had just failed their attack on Doma Castle, and the soldier's telling him, he's like, General Leo, I know we can do it. Let's just hit him again. Let's do it. And General Leo's like, are you really going to make me go back to your home and tell your wife and kid that you were killed in battle?
Yeah.
Were you going to do that to me? Or are you going to do that to them? Don't throw your life away. The Empire doesn't want you to do that. And it's like, wait, but you guys are evil, right? Yeah. But he's not. Whoa. And I mean, he's like that the whole game. I mean, it costs him in the end.
Sure, but
obviously, but
we knew it would.
He is, and he's not a playable character. We should point that out. Sort of, I guess.
For a minute.
Yeah, for a minute. But he really is, for an NPC, he is phenomenal, I think.
Yeah.
And then he comes into play again in another one of my favorite tropes, which is, so you think maybe you're getting towards the end of the game. You have like this feeling of maybe some resolution coming. And General Leo joins your party, and you're going on this mission to go sort some things out. And you're like, you get this sense of hope. Like, oh, I've got this reliable, awesome guy on my team. Maybe we're finally going to right the wrongs that the Empire has done.
Mm-hmm.
And right when you get that sense of hope, it is snatched away from you.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
He is brutally murdered. As a
Was he
Just to put that out there.
was he like charge punched as well? I can't remember.
No, it was an actual
Rampunched?
battle.
Okay, yeah. Rampunched, yeah.
Rampunched. I love that term. Okay, so Mark's number 4, General Leo. Brian, what's your number 4, sir?
My number 4 is Edgar. Edgar. I liked his character. This guy was like just king, really bad, like really good with ladies, but super cheesy. And you're just like, man. Like when I think Tara he first hit on, and I think someone pointed out like what are you doing? And then
Actually, like if you walk around the castle, all the girls think he's just
the
amazing
dreamy, yeah.
and everything, and Tara's just like, I guess a normal girl probably would have really liked that, but
right.
I'm not
not
really
normal, right?
Yep.
I liked. He was kind of like that. He's kind of like that almost comic relief character in movies. Because then when you get to the World of Ruin, he's acting like he's not Edgar. Obviously, he's got a little bit darker of a suit on this time, and
He got a tan, that's about
you
it.
walk right up to him, you're like, you see him. He's like sitting there. You go into the pub, and all the thieves are like, hey, we're leaving on this boat, and our leader, Gerard, he's going to take us there. You find him in the town. You're like, oh hey, I was even like, oh hey, it's Edgar. Went over to talk to him. You're like. Even your character's like, Edgar! Sleth thinks it's Edgar, and he goes, nope, not Edgar. Just going to the boat now. Going to the boat.
What
Bye.
a jerk.
So you follow him, you go on the boat, and you're still like, Edgar, we know it's you. He's like, no, we're going to Figaro Castle to rob it. We're going to go rob the castle. I'm a band leader of thieves. And then you think he thinks he loses you, and you show up again at the castle. He goes, you guys again, still? You're like, Edgar, we know it's you. And then finally the thieves go in the room, and he goes, okay, guys, it's me. It's Edgar. And you're just like,
Gotcha.
like,
Yeah, we know.
We know why you're coming to the castle, too. It was a really good scene. And that's why he's on my list as number 4.
Very cool. My number 4 is Tara, the
Solid choice.
Imperial Magitech Witch, as she is known at the beginning of the game.
That's right.
She is half human, half Esper, which you find out later on, but she has no idea because she doesn't remember any of it. And when she accidentally transforms for the first time, she is terrified. And terrified. She has no idea what's happening to her, and she isn't a part of the party for a while.
Well, she's big, pink, and naked, too.
Correct. And it's like when she finally comes out of that and she goes back to who she is and talks about her past and everything, and you find out what happened so many years ago with her parents.
Yeah, Madeline and who?
It depends on the translation. Okay. In the one that you played, it's Madonna. I think in the GBA version they changed it to like Madeline or something.
Gotcha.
Either way.
Yeah, Madonna's a little bit.
Anyways, but it I don't know. There's just so much to her, and I'm not even going to get into what she does in the World of Ruin, because that's a whole teenage pregnancy thing, and I don't even want to get into that. It's a little weird. But I really, really just enjoyed everything about where she comes from and just her part in the bigger tale. Like at the beginning when she meets Edgar and Locke, and they're both hitting on her and and stuff, and Locke's like have to stay away from you, blah 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 and stuff, because they're both they both have little crushes on her, you can tell. And then like they finally see her use magic for the first time, and they're like, what? What did you just do?
Well, because nobody's supposed to be able to use magic in this world.
And they were flipping out about it. And, you kind of see like how, like Mark said, they become kind of a family, because in the beginning, Tara's like, I don't know, this power just comes naturally to me. I don't understand it. And Edgar immediately just says, yeah, but no human has those kind of powers. And she's like, thanks, guy.
Yeah.
And then obviously, they that insult kind of brings them closer together, because he's like, I really didn't mean that, I'm so sorry. It kind of moves from there, and it's about her trying to find out who she is throughout the whole game, and I think it's really cool.
It's cool, yeah, absolutely.
All right, so that's my number 4, Tara. Mark, number 3.
Oh man, my number 3 is Locke.
Or Lockie, yes.
Lockie. It's Lockie.
I've always said Locke.
Well, I figure that if it was Locke, it'd just be L-O-C-K. So
I mean, this character has a great story. I'd say probably the best story.
One of the best.
Out of all the characters in the game.
Yep.
Basically, you find out later on in the game that he had this love interest in his hometown, and everyone in the town looked down on him except for her. And so he takes her to this cave where he's going around trying to find treasure. And does the floor start to collapse?
He is on a bridge, and as he's looking over the side, it starts to shake and crumble, and she runs, pushes him off of the bridge, basically, to like safety. And then while she's still on it, because she pushed him, it collapses with her on it.
Yep. She falls to her apparent death. Turns out, he goes and finds her, and she has lost her memory of him. When he takes her back to the town, her dad is furious. She doesn't remember her feelings for him, so she tells him to get lost too. And he's just kind of heartbroken. And when you know that, and you look back at the very beginning of the game, there's that thematic mirroring of him going to save Tara, who has lost her memory, just like...
Yeah, but why? I thought she was dead, laying in the bed.
That happens later.
Oh, okay.
Later.
Gotcha.
Yeah, when the Empire invaded, she was
That's
killed
right.
in the attack.
I remember now. I remember the scene where they're running around as kids. Gotcha.
Yep.
Gotcha.
So, he's just like this this tormented soul who feels this incredible guilt, and what he does is he tries to save any girl he finds that's in trouble. So he shows up, he saves Tara, takes her out of Narshi. And it's a great guy. Another thing that I loved is the romance between him and Celeste.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, there's that scene where he goes to check on her at the opera house, and he goes and he witnesses her scene from the side room.
Yep.
And you can it's text. It's just a couple of words, but you can feel the way his feelings are developing.
Oh, absolutely. Even before that, when she's preparing to go on stage, and she's like, why are you being so nice to me? Why are you helping me? And he just kind of like, he doesn't want to say anything to reveal any of what happened to him and stuff like that. He just kind of looks at her and he goes, "That ribbon looks nice on you."
Yep.
And that's it. And I mean, like, it's weird for text to be able to do that, but it really, really does. It speaks volumes for his character and the story itself.
Yeah.
So, all right, that was your number 3. Brian, who's your number 3, sir?
My number 3 is a little ninja we like to call Shadow.
Good old Shadow.
Good choice.
And you guys had already told me, but I can imagine playing this game for the first time, not knowing anything, and all of a sudden this guy's just like, I'm out later. Like, don't really want to be with you anymore. Don't care. See ya. You know what I mean? Like, you're just like, what? That's unheard of. You know what I mean? In an RPG, once you get a character, unless they die, they're in your party the whole time. Not Shadow. He's done. He's got his faithful companion. Interceptor. But just, I loved how he was just kind of like, hey, I'm going to help you. Don't worry. And then you get done, he's like, I'm done. See ya. Boom. He just jumps. He just leaves.
That's true.
Like, he's just like, okay, see. And you're like, and you really get the sense of like, man, this guy's really just a mercenary. He's out, he's out for himself. But that leads into the middle of the game where he kind of comes in and is like, I'm done being that wander about. I'm going to come save you guys. Right?
He realizes he has to fight for the greater good eventually.
But rather than just fighting for himself.
It's too bad Brian didn't.
Hey-oh.
Well, he's like, hey, guys, I'm going to sacrifice myself for you. So I was like, okay, cool. Thanks. I'm running.
Did you, when, like, in Saban's little side story, when you talk to him and he goes along with you and Cyan, did he stay with you until the falls?
Yeah, he jumped. He left to the falls.
He can actually leave at any point between the time you get
Really?
him until then. Yeah, it's happened
random.
to me a few times where he's just like, all right, I'm done. Peace.
We got to the very top, and he was like, all right.
Yeah, he
Boom.
can leave before that.
Yeah, wow, okay.
It's random.
It was cool. I thought it was a really cool character, especially for like a ninja type character to just be like, I'm here to just do what I want to do. Don't tell me when to stay. I'm not with you guys. I'm just going to help you. And then he's like, so yeah. But then at the very end, he's like, you know what? Okay,
absolutely.
It's time to help.
He's got a lot of cool dream sequences, and if you piece everything together and you find out about his backstory and stuff, it's pretty intriguing. So it's cool. Good stuff. So your number 3, Shadow.
Yes.
My number 3 is Edgar. You guys already talked for the most part about him. He's the king of Figaro, like you said. What I really, really liked about him and his brother Saban was you had mentioned that when they separated a long time ago, what happened was their father had just been killed by the Empire, poisoned, and Saban was basically like they're twins. Saban's like, I don't understand why the whole kingdom is in a hurry to find somebody to replace father. He's just dead. He's just died. We should mourn. We should not be focused on the politics and trying to fill the crown. this is ridiculous. And Edgar's like, we have to worry about our people. We have to protect them. We have to stand together because, we are the source of strength for them. And Saban's like, no, I disagree. We need time for ourselves. This is our dad. This is the king. People need to realize that he's dead now. And so they're talking, and Saban's like, you know what? Let's just leave. Let's just run away. And Edgar's like, we can't do that. We have to stay
here. He has
here.
his wish of his father, which was to leave the country.
Correct. And Edgar's like, I can't leave, man. I can't do that. And Saban's like, well, I'm gonna go, and you're welcome to come with me if not. And Edgar's like, look, I'm gonna flip this coin. If it's heads, you win, and you can go do what you want. I won't try to stop you. If it's tails, you have to stay here with us, and you have to help me rule this kingdom. Flips the coin, and obviously they went their separate ways, and insinuating that Saban won. You find later on that it was a two-headed coin, and Edgar had planned that. He let him go because he was like, I don't want you to stay here and be unhappy, man. Be your own man. I'll take care of the kingdom if you go, do what you need to do. And I've always thought that was just really, really cool.
Yeah, and you learn about the double-sided coin when you meet Setzer for the first time. Yeah.
Yep, Celeste uses it on him. Yeah. So that's my number 3. Edgar.
Very cool.
Mark, number 2.
My number 2 is Shadow. Brian just talked a lot about what makes Shadow cool. He didn't really mention. Well, he mentioned that he let Shadow die. If you didn't pick up on that,
I did.
He did not wait. He did not wait for Shadow.
How was I supposed to know? There's a timer, and I'm like, oh my god!
That's why you use a guide sometimes.
No,
occasionally.
That was my own experience. Not
there should be
guide.
you should look at what are the things I shouldn't miss in this game. There should be like a.
But can you
Cliff
imagine
Notes version of a guide?
But could you imagine my euphoria if I had somehow gotten held up and then I did get it like that? That's the kind of stuff I like. The finding those secrets without somebody telling me.
You let him die.
He did. He died. Sorry. He did.
Your lack of diligence.
What do you mean? He said run, and there's a timer, and I'm
he didn't get to see the dream sequences where you kind of find out about his past and his issues.
It hints at him being Realm's father, essentially.
Right.
Yep.
And him leaving this woman that he loved and running away because he didn't want her to be in danger, and him robbing a train, stealing 1 million gold.
What does he say when you first meet him? He's like, the Reaper is always a step behind me.
Yep.
That's pretty cool.
And he's kind of the exception to the rule of what I said about trying to make a character really cool.
Definitely.
Because he's a cool character. He just shows up, helps you out, and runs off. He's the classic loner character.
Yep.
Definitely.
And that's why it's so cool when you get that backstory later on and you find out why he is the way he is.
They did the loner character correct, because what happens in most RPGs, you have that loner character, but he's in your group the whole time. So it's like you're not just really a loner.
You know what he does is he's complaining about how he's alone.
You guys are always telling me what to do, and I just don't like people. But you're like, you're dude, you can leave at any time. But Shadow literally is like, I don't like you guys. Bye.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. All right. So, Brian, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is General Leo. Mark talked about him. He's the reluctant enemy. He's that guy on the other side that, he's got an evil leader, but he's full of honor. And, he even says, hey, when I think he had a huge problem with, with the way Kefka, Kefka, he was actually the leader of Kefka at one point, and it doesn't, until that betrayal with Gestahl, doesn't really realize that he's being played. Yep. Because Gestal's like, oh, we'll take care of Kefka. Don't worry, he's going to be dealt with. And then, like JJ said, just murdered brutally. I like characters that I like characters with flavor, and he definitely had it because he, like JJ said it really well. You first come into this camp and you see the enemy soldier, and you're thinking this general's going to come out and be like, what's your reaction, your thought when you see that soldier go, sir, I'm sorry, I failed. We can go back and do it. Your reaction is like, he's like, get back there and don't come back until you've done it. That's what you're thinking because it's the bad guy. But he's like, no. He's like, I don't want to have to tell your family that you've died. You're like, wait a minute. Wait a minute, you're on the wrong side. Guy. Yeah, so I like that. I really like that trope of you had Kefka and General Leo and their antithesis to each other, where General Leo, he's still loyal to his side, but he's not an evil man.
Definitely.
Which, every war has.
Cool. My number 2, I can't believe this guy's not on either one of your lists. He's awesome. One of my favorite characters ever. Setzer.
Man.
Alka-Seltzer.
It was too hard for me to choose.
He is, I'll give you that. All right.
I mean, Brian's number 1.
Alka-Setzer.
Alka-Setzer. Setzer is when you first meet him, he's really not. I mean, he's cool. He's a gambler and he flies an airship. Sweet. It's not really until the World of Ruin when you find out his backstory and why he's doing what he's doing and why he is the way he is. Man, he's another one that has just a great personality. The way he interacts with the other characters, always wanting to, place bets and gamble and all that stuff. But so you go to the World of Ruin and you find out that he had the whole reason that he was looking to kidnap Maria, or Celeste, as the game threw it in there, was because he had lost his love long ago, which was a girl named Daryl, who flew another airship along with him, and they would always race and fly in the sky and everything. And she, one day after they get done, she's like, "I'm going to go and I'm going to push this thing to its limits." And he's like, "Well, I can't keep up with you, so be careful." And she's like, "Oh, I'll be fine." She doesn't come back. So he goes out looking for her, and eventually he finds the wreckage of her airship, and he actually builds a tomb around the wreckage, which you find later on in the game. And the way it presents itself when you're walking down the stairs and he's telling the story throughout the whole thing, it really is art. The way they do that, it's fantastic. It's hard to put into words. It's something you have to experience for yourself. But it's another one of those things in the game, like the opening sequence that Mark was talking about, where it's just, I can't believe this is happening in 16-bit,
Mm-hmm.
So he is and always will be one of my favorite characters in the game, Setzer. So,
Setzer. Got to do it.
All right. Mark.
Oh, man.
Who's your number one?
My number one is Terra.
Not to be confused with the Latin word for the earth.
Thank you for that, Brian. I was concerned that they might get those confused.
I just didn't want them to know, oh, Mark speaks Latin.
Here's why this is my favorite character. Because JJ is wrong.
Whoa.
JJ is wrong, and she is the main character.
Whoa. Whoa.
No,
wait a minute.
I mean, I'm half serious.
Wait, what?
I'm not completely serious.
Hold on. Let me rewind to pros and cons. You said this was an ensemble cast. You even admitted that.
Man, it's an ensemble cast. But she's kind of the main character.
Okay.
Because it starts with her. Like one of the major plot points is going to find her and get her back on track when she's all messed up. And then, the very last thing that happens in the game is Maduin telling her that she's either going to disappear along with all the Espers, or if she has enough connection to humanity, she might survive and become a human.
Yep.
That's the very last dilemma in the game. So as far as I'm concerned, it starts with Terra and it ends with Terra, and she's the main character. But it's also an ensemble cast because it's awesome.
Like I said, that's a debate that's been going on for a long time. So you're part of that debate.
Even Square Enix thinks she's the main character when they made Dissidia.
Yeah,
that she was the one they put.
It doesn't really matter if she's the main character or not.
No, they picked her to put in the
sure. No, absolutely, because she's the most well known.
Right.
Yeah,
she's my favorite character. I really enjoyed her dilemmas that she goes throughout the game. It's cliched. If I look at it now, if I hadn't played it back in the day, it's pretty cliched. Yeah. All the stuff. I don't know who I am. Oh, I'm half this, half that.
Mark's on to something here. She follows almost every trope of Square Enix's Cloud. Same thing.
Yeah.
Not quite sure who he is. He goes through that phase where he's in a wheelchair and they're trying to find him. So technically, I think you might be right in this main character thing.
She is a lot like Cloud, except that at the core of her, she's a happy person.
Yeah.
She's not just
Angsty.
wallowing in her self-pity the entire time.
Cool. All right. Brian, what's your number one?
Number one, Kefka, obviously.
That should have been my number one.
You kind of get the sense, he shows early that he's a little unstable. You find out why. He was Sid's first experiment into fusing humans and magitech or magicite, whatever you want to say. You get the sense that he's unstable, but not until the floating island do you realize just how razor-thin-haired unstable this guy is. Celes stabs him on the top with the 3 statues, right? And you're thinking, oh no, what's he going to do? And instead of normal people being people who aren't unstable, he's the bad guy, but what's he do? He's blood. Okay, screw it. Just move these statues out of the level. I don't care. Just blow up the world. I'm crazy. And that's really cool. He very well reminded me of the Joker.
A great example of how you don't have to have a super deep backstory.
No.
Sometimes they're just crazy.
I just liked how you were like, this guy's on, like, first of all, he poisons Aladoma. I mean, that's, you know, he's just, you get he's unstable, but not until Celeste stabs him do you realize just how razor thin his psyche was to just be like, I got stabbed, screw it, blowing the world up.
Yeah.
Like, he just was like, I'm done. I just want to move everything in chaos, you know.
Definitely. He is. He's fantastic.
Like the scene in Batman, the Dark
Yeah,
Knight.
that one.
The scene in the Dark Knight where the Joker looks at Harvey Dent laying in the hospital bed and says, "I'm an agent of chaos." That's how I feel about Kefka. He doesn't have any loyalties other than just chaos. He wants just chaos, just straight up. I just want everything to be wrong.
I heard someone say this. It might have been JJ. I heard it somewhere, and it's always stuck with me. Kefka is the villain that wins.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep.
He wanted to destroy
actually
the
wins.
world,
And he did.
And he did.
Yep.
Yep.
Can't argue with that.
Yep. All right, my number one, Locke Cole. He's my favorite video game character of all time.
Woo!
Whoa!
He is. I've said this before.
Yeah.
I mean, again, this is another one of those nostalgia things. I 100% don't agree that he doesn't have much of a personality.
Yeah, that's
really.
no.
If
He
he
has a personality.
If he didn't have a personality, he wouldn't correct every single person that comes up to him and says, "You're a thief." He's like, "No, I'm a treasure hunter.
Yeah, but
Thank you very much."
I don't know. I just didn't like it. It was like,
How do you not like that?
his story was good, but he was just kind of like that typical JRPG character that's like,
Was he?
Kinda,
Was he?
I'm a treasure hunter, you know, like that kind of voice. Is
I didn't see. He didn't have that voice in my head.
In my head, this is his voice. I'm not a thief. I'm a treasure hunter. That was his voice to me. I'm sorry.
No, man.
I think he's just making that up.
I'm
now.
really not.
He was not.
pretty sure.
His story was.
Are we going to
phenomenal.
argue over what
This
his
is-
voice was in our heads?
This is Brian we're talking about. We
Yeah.
already established we can't take him seriously 90% of the time, so it's all right. It's okay.
Just one man's opinion.
But his backstory, I mean, there's nothing else I can say that you guys haven't already said. It's fantastic. He adds so much to the game, and honestly, he's really not that useful in battle. But the fact that he is such an important character to the story and the way that he interacts with everybody else made me always want to bring him along.
I did like to, if you gave him the Genji glove, gave him 2 weapons, and then use the capture ability, you can basically get 2 chances to steal. I liked that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yep. So, all right, there's our top 5 Final Fantasy VI characters. A little bit of self-indulgence.
Oh, yeah.
All right, with that, I think we're done.
Yeah, Final
For this
Fantasy
one.
VI Special
Final
is
Fantasy VI.
wrapping up.
Apologies to anyone that doesn't like Final Fantasy VI and had to suffer
apologize.
through. That's true.
I don't
You know what?
apologize.
If
Play
you
the
don't
game.
like it and you didn't enjoy us ranting about it, listen to it again
Go play the
as
game.
an extra punishment for not liking it.
Go play the game. That's what you should do if you haven't played it.
Yeah,
And don't tell me that Locke's voice does not sound like that.
it doesn't.
Don't tell me that Locke's voice does not
not.
sound like that.
Don't opposite of not tell me that Locke's voice oppositely does not.
Oh my! Is
Reverse
that a quote
that.
from David?
You're a David.
You know what? In your eyes, I probably am.
I think Brian's the Kefka of this show.
I kind of do like chaos.
His laugh, absolutely. See? Yep, that's him. We would like to thank you again for tuning in and listening to us, giving us about an hour of your time. And I don't have anything else. Do you guys have anything else to say about Final Fantasy VI or anything else you'd like to say at all?
It's the best.
There you go.
Go get it.
Seriously.
It is a very solid RPG.
If you want someone to complain about it, talk to our friend Matt. He'll tell you all about why he doesn't like it.
As much as we joke around and everything, it really genuinely is a good game. It's a wonderful story, and if I had to sum it up in one word, I would call it charming.
Definitely, that's a perfect word for it.
So yeah, for sure. So even if just take it at face value, if it was a book, I would just say read that. It's awesome.
The sound that I would give it would be a woo woo.
So that's that.
Well, that was not even louder than the 2% excited you had earlier.
That's true.
So
That's true.
It's a great game.
Absolutely. All right. Anybody got anything else?
Negatory, Rubber Ducky.
All right. With that, this is the Frozen North signing off. My name is JJ.
My name is Mark.
And I'm Brian.
Thank you once again for listening, and as always, keep on what, Mark?
Gaming.
There it is.
Our theme song was made available through the Creative Commons Attribution license by Ziphoid. The song title is Radical Fanfare.